AI art wins awards. AI composes music. Lately, artificial intelligence seems to be storming the art world like never before. Looking at these works, some almost indistinguishable from human creations, others uniquely algorithmic. Have you also felt a pang of panic? Those painting techniques we spent years learning, the instruments we practiced endlessly, the words we painstakingly crafted, do they still hold value against powerful algorithms? The artist, once seen as the pinnacle of human creativity, are they about to be replaced by machines? Is there still any point in learning traditional art forms? But hold on. Before we get swept away by anxiety, let's hit pause on the AI threat narrative for a moment. Think back to those moments that truly moved you. Was it the ending of a film that kept you up all night? A melody that resonated deep within your soul and lingered for days? Or that painting you stood before, lost in a silent conversation? In those moments, what we feel isn't just that something is pretty, it's a profound sense of encountering something real, something vital. Can AI truly replicate that? Today, we want to explore a perspective that might just change how you think about art. What if the real magic of art isn't solely in the act of creation itself, whether by brush, instrument, or code? What if the core value lies in how our human brains feel, understand, and decode the complex, subtle messages embedded within a work? And what exactly is that captivating feeling we call beauty? Cutting-edge research in neuroaesthetics is revealing a fascinating possibility. The sensation of beauty might actually be a kind of neural reward your brain gives you after successfully cracking the code of the complex knowledge or profound intent hidden within art. If that's true, what does it imply? It implies that even if AI can paint the Mona Lisa or compose like Beethoven, the ultimate act of giving these creations meaning, of feeling that unique connection, of receiving that reward of beauty, still belongs to us, to our unique human brains and minds. Because the essence of art might be about the intricate, profound, sometimes ineffable cognitive and emotional connections between people and the world. And that, precisely, is something current AI struggles to achieve. So, rather than being overwhelmed by the AI wave, join us on a journey deep inside the brain. We'll combine observations from the art world, my own perspective on art as complex knowledge, and the latest findings from neuroscience to re-examine what truly is art. Where does beauty come from? And why, in this era of seemingly relentless technological change, is human participation and experience still the irreplaceable soul of art? Part 1. Recap and Introduction. From complex knowledge to the brain's response. In our last discussion, we explored a potentially perspective-shifting idea that art, at its core, might not just be about aesthetics in the traditional sense, but a unique way humans process and understand the complexity of the world around us. We observed how activities like masterful soccer play, astute investment strategies, or effective management are often lauded as art when they reach a level of intuitive, integrated mastery. The common thread? They all successfully navigate what we called ill-structured domains, areas of life where rules are fuzzy, boundaries are blurred, and uncertainty reigns. Viewing art as a sophisticated cognitive activity, a form of crystallized wisdom for dealing with complexity, gives us a fresh lens. But it doesn't seem to fully capture the most mysterious and captivating part of the art experience, that profound feeling of beauty, that ineffable connection, or even that shiver down the spine we get when faced with truly great works. What exactly is that? Is it simply that understanding the complex knowledge or skill embedded in the work automatically triggers this feeling? Is beauty just a byproduct of cognitive achievement, or does it have deeper biological roots? In this extraordinary experience, what role does our brain, this 3-pound marvel, the most complex structure in the known universe, actually play? To tackle these questions, today we delve into a fascinating field that bridges ancient wonder with modern science. Neuroaesthetics. It's an interdisciplinary quest attempting to link art, psychology, and neuroscience. Scientists are using tools like brain imaging to uncover the biological secrets behind our aesthetic experiences, especially the neural underpinnings of that subjective, yet seemingly universal sensation we call beauty. Ready? Let's re-examine those art moments that stir our souls, this time through the lens of science, exploring the neural basis of beauty. This journey might just offer you a completely new appreciation for art, for beauty, and perhaps even for ourselves. Part 2. Core findings of neuroaesthetics, beauty, and the brain's reward system. So, what exactly does the feeling of beauty correspond to in the brain? To answer that, we first need to understand a burgeoning interdisciplinary field, neuroaesthetics. Simply put, neuroaesthetics attempts to use the methods of neuroscience, like brain scanning technologies, to understand our unique human aesthetic experiences and related emotions, such as pleasure, love, desire, and so on. What are their neural underpinnings? It's important to stress that neuroaesthetics isn't trying to replace traditional art criticism or philosophy of aesthetics. It's not about grading artworks or defining what absolute beauty is. Instead, it offers a completely new biological perspective, attempting, from the level of brain activity, to explore why certain things give us the feeling of beauty while others don't. It's more concerned with the physiological counterpart to the subjective experience of beauty. Over the past 2 decades or so, the field of neuroaesthetics has made a remarkable core discovery, one that practically underpins the entire discipline. A vast amount of research points towards a key region behind our forehead, the orbitofrontal cortex, OFC, particularly its medial part, medial OFC, or MOFC for short. Scientists, using techniques like functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, have observed that regardless of the source of our aesthetic pleasure, whether it's appreciating a work of visual art, like a painting, listening to harmonious music, seeing an attractive human face, or even understanding an elegant mathematical formula, when we subjectively experience beauty, the MOFC region shows significant activation. What's even more crucial is that this activation isn't all or nothing. Studies further reveal that the intensity of activity in the MOFC region is positively correlated with the intensity of the beauty we subjectively feel. Simply put, the more beautiful you find something, the more strongly this area in your brain activates. It's like having a beauty meter in your head, reflecting your aesthetic pleasure in real time. So, why this specific region? This touches upon deeper mechanisms. It turns out that the OFC is a crucial component of our brain's reward system. You might be familiar with this system. It gets activated when we eat delicious food, earn money, or accomplish a challenging task, making us feel pleasure and satisfaction. What the findings of neuroaesthetics are effectively telling us is this: the brain, to some extent, treats the experience of beauty as an important form of reward too. Of course, the brain's response to aesthetic experiences is highly nuanced, not just limited to beauty. Some research details are quite intriguing. For instance, when we see harmonious color combinations, the MOFC is activated, whereas facing disharmonious ones might trigger the amygdala, which is involved in processing negative emotions. Similarly, viewing paintings considered ugly can sometimes activate different parts of the OFC or the amygdala. This indicates that our brain not only recognizes beauty, but can also differentiate between various aesthetic judgments, like beautiful, ugly, harmonious, disharmonious, and engage the corresponding emotional and evaluative networks. And the functions of the OFC don't stop there. Besides its link to pure beauty, it's also been confirmed to be closely associated with the experiences of pleasure and desire. Even more interestingly, the OFC seems to play a central role in broader value judgments, such as moral judgments, judging right from wrong, and commercial judgments, like evaluating advertising effectiveness. Some studies even found overlapping activation areas in the brain for aesthetic, moral, and commercial judgments, all involving the OFC. What does this imply? Perhaps our ability to perceive beauty shares an underlying neural basis with how we perform other forms of value assessment. It's even possible that aesthetic evaluation serves as a foundation or a common denominator for more complex value judgments. So, neuroaesthetics reveals that beauty isn't just a vague, ethereal feeling. It tangibly corresponds to specific activity patterns in our brain and is deeply connected to the reward mechanisms vital for our survival and development. The brain rewards the experience of beauty. The natural next question then is, why does the brain reward beauty? What does the experience of beauty signify for how we process information and understand the world? This requires us to turn our attention back to art itself and to those complex messages within artworks waiting for us to decode. Part 3. The Integrated Perspective, the Neural Reward of Decoding Complex Knowledge. In the last section, neuroscience revealed something truly exciting. The experience of beauty is deeply intertwined with our brain's reward system, particularly the orbitofrontal cortex, OFC. It seems the brain literally rewards us for perceiving beauty. But this raises a profound question. Why does the brain reward beauty? Is it merely because certain lines, colors, or sounds inherently fit some mathematical ratio of harmony? Or is there a more significant cognitive function hidden behind this feeling? To answer this, neuroaesthetics puts forward an important point. Art appreciation isn't just passive sensory input. It's an active decoding process. Like deciphering a hidden message, the viewer tries to understand the thoughts, emotions, or unique worldview encoded by the artist within the work, the so-called hidden information or author's intent. Often, this information is implicit, not explicitly stated. And successful decoding, what we commonly call understanding, is closely linked to our artistic experience and the pleasure we derive from it. There's even neurological evidence suggesting that when we view art, brain areas related to understanding and even simulating the artist's creative actions can become active, pointing towards deep information processing during appreciation. Now, let's connect this decoding perspective with the core idea from our previous discussion. Art might be the most quintessential way humans deal with ill-structured domain knowledge. That is, knowledge about those messy, complex aspects of reality where rules are vague, ambiguity reigns, and context is everything. Think about the subtleties of human nature, the flux of society, or certain ineffable life experiences. These are hard to pin down with simple logic or formulas. Art, through its subjective construction, symbolism, and open-ended nature, provides a unique means to grasp and communicate these complex realities. Therefore, appreciating art is fundamentally about engaging in a cognitive interaction, a wrestling match, with this profound complexity. Okay, here comes the crucial connection. On one hand, neuroaesthetics shows us the brain marks the experience of beauty with a reward signal, OFC activation. On the other hand, art theory and our previous analysis highlight art appreciation as a deeply involved process of decoding complex knowledge or intent. So, putting these together leads to a compelling and logically consistent hypothesis. That unique, sometimes indescribable feeling we experience as beauty might, in essence, be the positive feedback signal released by our brain's reward system after we have successfully decoded and understood the complex knowledge, subtle information, or profound intent embedded within a work of art. This might sound bold, but it actually has significant explanatory power. Let's break down why. First, it's a reward for cognitive effort. Understanding complexity, whether it's solving a math problem or grasping the nuances of a poem, demands cognitive work. Evolutionarily, it makes sense for the brain to have reward mechanisms that encourage this kind of exploration, learning, and mastery of the environment, as it's beneficial for survival. Artworks, especially deep or challenging ones, require us to mobilize perception, association, inference, and more to crack them. When we successfully extract patterns, derive meaning, or feel an emotional resonance from seemingly chaotic, ambiguous, or even strange art forms, our brain's reward system is activated. Subjectively, we feel this as beauty or deep pleasure. Second, it mirrors the neuroscience of the aha moment. Psychological research finds that the sudden insight or aha experience when solving a problem is itself pleasurable and likely linked to the brain's reward circuitry. In art appreciation, when we finally get the cleverness of a composition, feel the emotional arc of a piece of music, or grasp the symbolism in a novel, that moment of clarity could trigger a similar neural reward, manifesting as a strong aesthetic experience. Third, it directly explains why understanding enhances beauty. If beauty is the reward signal for successful understanding, decoding, then the deeper the understanding, the more successful the decoding, potentially leading to a stronger reward signal and a more intense feeling of beauty. This explains why learning about the context, the artist's life, or the techniques involved can often elevate our appreciation of a work. Fourth, it explains why challenging art can still be beautiful. Many contemporary artworks are known for being unfamiliar, obscure, or even confrontational, seemingly defying traditional notions of pleasing the senses. But according to our hypothesis, if the viewer accepts the challenge and eventually finds a path to interpretation, even an open-ended, personal one, the cognitive achievement of overcoming the difficulty and successfully constructing meaning is itself rewarding. This cognitive mastery can translate into intense aesthetic pleasure. This might be why some people are deeply drawn to difficult art. Fifth, it connects back to why we call other masterful skills art. Returning to our initial examples, why do we call Messi's dribbling or Buffett's investing art? Precisely because they demonstrate an extraordinary understanding, anticipation, and creativity within extremely complex, ill-structured domains, achieving a state of effortless mastery. Our brain recognizes and appreciates this profound insight and control over complexity, granting it the reward of beauty. So, beauty might be more than just a reaction to surface properties like symmetry or color harmony. It could be a profound cognitive reward, signaling a successful connection and understanding between us and the artwork, us and the world, perhaps even between our mind and the artists. It encourages us to engage with complexity, to seek meaning. Part 4. Conclusion: Art, the brain, and why we need beauty. So, through this journey across art, cognition, and the brain, we seem to have touched upon some profound mechanisms behind the feeling of beauty. Neuroaesthetics research clearly illuminates that deep and tangible connection between aesthetic experience and our brain's reward system. When we perceive something as beautiful, key areas associated with pleasure and motivation, notably the orbitofrontal cortex, OFC, do indeed light up, as if offering us some kind of intrinsic reward. And when we integrate this discovery with the perspective of art as a unique way of decoding complex knowledge and understanding our ill-structured reality, a view we explored earlier, a compelling picture emerges. We have good reason to believe that beauty might not just be some inherent property of an object itself. Rather, it could be a subjective experiential signal, an intrinsic reward bestowed by our brain upon successfully understanding, grasping, and integrating the complex, subtle, and sometimes ineffable information encoded within. What does this mean for the value of art? It suggests that the importance of art likely extends far beyond merely providing sensory pleasure. Art acts more like a unique cognitive gymnasium, a safe space. Within it, we can explore, practice, and come to grips with the complexity, ambiguity, polysemy, and uncertainty that permeate our actual world, be it the depths of human nature, the shifts in society, or the mysteries of existence. Art presents these ill-structured realities to us in its own distinct language, inviting us into a cognitive adventure. The experience of beauty, therefore, takes on a new significance. It ceases to be just a passive feeling of liking how something looks. It becomes a vital signal, signifying that we've achieved a profound connection and understanding, cognitively and emotionally, with the work, with the world, perhaps even with the mind of the creator. This reward, originating deep within our brain, motivates us to continue exploring, learning, and creating meaning in a seemingly chaotic universe. Perhaps this is precisely why, even today, in an age of information overload, accelerating change, and AI that seems capable of almost anything, we still instinctively, deeply need art. Art, it seems, is more than just decoration for our walls or playlists. It's more like a silent tutor, subtly training our brains, enhancing our capacity to perceive and navigate complexity. And for every time we strive to understand, every time we successfully connect, every time we gain an insight, art generously bestows upon us that unique, invaluable gift called beauty. This gift, born from the human mind and brain, might just be one of our most precious assets as we face the future.